My name is Faiz Taher. I'm the CEO of Bongo and also the co-founder of Magneto Digital. And also I am co-founder of Startup Dhaka. And what I will tell you is, is that a lot of the stuff that I will be sharing is based on my experience over the last 20 years. I've started involved in multiple ventures, and I'll share, about my experience, the knowledge, and also working with a lot of other individuals, which I've worked with over the past years around e-commerce. And hopefully that will add some value for you guys. In terms of what I really do believe in is the real life story, because real life experiences help a lot more. And some of the techniques that I have used should help in terms of enabling you guys to make better decisions. So the course outline is today we're going to be talking about starting up your shop. Next is marketing your shop, operating, and then financial model. Those are the 4 sessions each day. Okay, so I will start the session now. I'm sure you guys all know what e-commerce is, but I just wanted to refresh everyone's memory. It is the buying and selling of goods and services over an electronic system. Can happen over, there's m-commerce, which is mobile, e-commerce referred to electronic over more computers, laptop, but I'm going to be talking about generalities. So please do not confuse with e-commerce, m-commerce, f-commerce. I'm using it as a general term. And it is the purchasing, selling, trading of goods over the net, which I'm sure you know, and it includes everything: finished goods, digital goods, services. So I'll break it down a little bit more. In terms of the types of e-commerce, and this is where things get a little bit more complex. And for our simplicity, I've tried to keep it simple, which is we have B2B, business to business. A couple of examples that I can give you so you can understand is, for example, you've heard of the Amazon. Someone is, guys, can you please keep yourself on mute? I would really appreciate that. So the business to business. So for example, if you've heard of the Amazon vendor program, what happens is you sell your product to them directly, and they sell your product, which means they take a higher cut, higher fees, and they charge you. They're buying the product from you, you invoice them, and you get paid. Same thing can happen as a service to business. For example, you give your service to a business who resell it as a package, as a suite of services. Can I ask you guys to just please mute yourself? Just 1 second. Let me do it. Okay. So, and then the other example is, for example, Heinz ketchup selling to like BFC, or Intel sells this processor to Dell. That's business to business, to understand the concept. From the business to consumer, think of it as direct. You look at Walmart.com, they have their own products, they buy their own products, but they do sell private labels. When they do buy private labels, they're also buying it. Now, those who have for example, Amazon has another different program, which I'll say is called Vendor Central. They don't buy your product. There is no invoice. You're selling the product directly over there. Now, in terms of there's another approach called C2C, where it's a platform-based approach. You do not own the inventory. You make your own platform. And that's like, for example, eBay, or you look at BigRoy. Daraz could be an example as well, where you are a store. You're a brand owner. You go to Daraz and say, hey, look, I want to sell my brand. And Daraz says, great, I'll give you a storefront on my platform. If we can move on now. If nobody has questions, I'd like to get to the... So again, let's look at it from a B2B and what does it really mean from your prospect. And we'll talk about opportunities later. So we look at the business organization, which is your company, and you're giving it to a wholesaler, reseller storefront. And what they're doing is they're ordering it to your website, app, channel, or it could be your system, or it could be very manual based. And then they put up the pictures, put up the products, and they sell directly to the customer. This also happens in real life in B2B businesses. If you look at Walmart as a store, or if you look at Bangladesh, any of the stores there who sell multiple products, they're buying the product from you directly, and you're just processing and delivering it to them, and then the rest is their headache. And what they do is sell it ultimately to the consumer. The same process is happening on a B2B basis online as well. Now on the B2C, again, it's your storefront. You are selling to the customer directly. You're processing the order. You're managing the delivery. You're managing the inventory. Now, what channel you sell it on, or your app or website, that's completely a separate issue. We'll talk about it later. But again, you're supplying to the customer directly. Now, on a C2C, we're looking at is customer to customer. There's a platform in between. Now, for example, if I give a service base, there's Sheba XYZ. Or if you look at, again, I use the example of Duraz or Bikroy. Bikroy is a fantastic example. A customer puts up a product, another customer says, I want to buy, and they buy the product. And sometimes the platform arranges the delivery process, but they do mostly on the order processing. It depends. It depends case to case. Bikroy, for example, was doing that. Sometimes they did it. Sometimes they didn't do it. But they handled the order payment process. So it's very simple. You have two customers. There's a platform that's C2C. Now, there is another example that I have not put in here is government to consumer or business to government. That's a whole different ballgame. Based on the questionnaire and the answers I got, I didn't want to prepare for that, but that's another, and an example would be like tax services. You create a platform where people can file tax. TurboTax is an example of that you could use. Now, let's take a step back. And this is something that's very important to do. And a lot of you guys are saying, okay, I want to start an e-commerce, or you've already started one. Now, let's look at the key differences. Now, what is it really different from a brick and mortar store? And we'll look at it from a product perspective and a service perspective as well. So on a product perspective, what are the key differences? Typically on the brick and mortar, which is the offline store you have, there's a commercial retail front. There's a commercial address, which attracts foot traffic. It could be a shopping mall. It could be a location where there's a high foot traffic where people know. And you're kind of gaining visibility because someone else is marketing that commercial address, not necessarily you. Yes, you're saying, hey, I'm located there, but there's a lot of people going there. And you have to pay premium money for that. And typically you have an on-site customer salesperson who's helping you sell the product. Customer walks in and says, hey, I'm looking for something, or they browse through the physical display of goods that you have in the store. Now, one of the key differences is that the customer can inspect the product or the good. They can touch it, they can feel it, and they can get a very good understanding of it. Makes a huge difference, especially, for example, when you're buying fashion-related products. Even electronic goods, sometimes you go into the store, you want to touch it, you want to feel it, you want to test it out, you want to make sure it works. You're looking at the trust. Okay, hey, things work, I'm willing to pay. Now, it's very important to understand that because price point varies. Now, when you go on lower price point, sometimes as a customer, you're quickly going in and just taking the product. It doesn't matter. You don't care. It's like 100 taka or even $1, you're in and out. But if it's like $1,000, you're going to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes doing the research, asking the right questions, asking the right, like warranty or service. You're going to ask about what product they use. Okay. But once you buy that product, you're familiar with it. You might actually, be comfortable not asking so many questions. For example, you're a person who buys laptops. You know exactly what laptop you want to buy. You walk into the store and it's easy. you know what to look for. And the other thing is, physical stores have opening times, and they also don't need an internet. You physically walk and you buy the product. Okay. Now, service-based, if you think about it, is basically you have a commercial real estate space, you're an insurance broker or you're a bank. You know, the customer comes and visits, they have a bunch of things they need, and it's a set office hour. It could also be B2B services you're providing. People provide physical work orders, documentation, signing, and there's a lot of paper exchanges, and work can be requested to be performed on customer site, or it can be done in the back room. It depends on the type of services, but it varies, and the transaction is completely over paper and pen, and there's a monetary exchange. It could be happening on a cash, it could be a credit card terminal. Again, no internet is required to place these orders, but